My name is Adrian Nantchev, and this channel is all about helping you become a remarkable entrepreneur. So what this podcast does is I find people from all over the world, whether entrepreneurs or not, to discuss about who they are and what they believe in and what makes them remarkable. So today I have with me Ernie Bray. So please, Ernie, tell the world your story. Why are you doing what you're currently doing, and what makes you remarkable?
All right. Well, wow. Hey, I'm glad to be on the show today. So, hey, just want to say thanks. And, so a little bit about me. My story is I bootstrapped a company from the ground up. And my story that I want to convey really is about to inspire other entrepreneurs to go out there and go after their dreams. And my story really starts out that I grew up in a family of teachers, and I went to college. I played college basketball. I got my degree. But I really was kind of, I would say, rudderless when I got out of college. Because, a lot of people, they go to college, they get a degree, and they may not get a degree in something that really has much value, and they don't know what to do. They want to go out and they want to get a job, and sort of that's what I kind of did. I got a job working as an inside salesperson for an electronic supply company. I didn't really like it. I really had no direction of what I wanted to do for a career. So I just kind of was sort of, for about a 2 or 3 year period, just sort of trying to find myself. But there was something inside of me that every day I would say, you know what, I'm not happy being in that cubicle. I'm not happy doing that. So I knew I had that sort of entrepreneurial bug inside. And then I went on and got a job working as an insurance adjuster, believe it or not, handling auto claims. And I did that for about 7 years. But during that time, I still had that entrepreneurial bug. And it really kind of started with my brother. During this time, he had been going to college, and he started an online music website. This is like now 1996, 97. And we started to build that little company up, and we sort of got that taste of the entrepreneurial spirit. We did it for 2 or 3 years, but it was a small venture. But while I was doing my regular insurance job. But, during that time, I really knew I wanted to do my own company and do something big. So couldn't figure it out. But then I started to say, you know what? Right in front of my eyes was an opportunity, because I was founding a niche within my own industry, the insurance claims industry, that I could go out and create a company that would turn around and service that insurance industry and be very successful. So it really is a story of, sometimes you have to just sort of, you may not be happy in the job you're at, but if you can look deep enough, there's niches right out there, opportunities where you can create a business. And my story really is one of just looking, being not happy being in that cubicle, but then finding that niche and going out and there and going after it.
Yeah, I've come to realize ages ago that there's opportunity everywhere. In fact, I talk about how to create opportunity from thin air. It's just essentially filling your mind with loads of knowledge, and that knowledge is like particles. And as you see things, as you learn other things or observe, it bounces in your brain like ricochets and like in chain reactions, and creates ideas and sparks and all the rest. So you mentioned the entrepreneur bug. In what way did you catch it?
Well, see, like I said, when I grew up in a family of teachers, there was nobody that really gave me. My parents coming from a family of teachers, my grandmother, my dad, my aunt, my uncle, you're really focused on education. And that's what I grew up in. I was just like, get good grades, go out and get great, do good in school, get an education, get a college degree, go out, get a job, work there for your life, and then retire. So that was kind of the mindset at the time that I was presented, my brother was presented. We were just given that. But I really didn't have, nobody gave me any encouragement. Okay, start a business, even talked about those kind of things. So when I would go to the job every day when I was out of college, I started to go to you were working at an insurance company, you're working every day. Just that I would see, I don't know what it was. You'd see inefficiency. You'd see things that I would say to myself, I could do better. This is not being run correctly. And then that's when that bug started to hit me. I was like, wait a minute, you know what? There's things that if I could do this, I could start a company and actually do very well financially and really service an industry that can benefit from this. So I would say the bug really started when I started to see opportunity. And you have to let that, your mind has to say, see past what you're not happy about and see where opportunity is. Because, everybody talks about starting a business. And these people today, you see people out there wanting to go, I want to start a tech company. I want to start those unicorn type companies that are worth billions of dollars. But what people don't realize is you can do very well in niche type businesses if you can master that. And that's really the bug started with my brother. He liked music. And then he was like, hey, let's try something with the internet, because that was like 96, 97, right when the internet was starting to take off. And all of a sudden, boom, that was a fun little, start. So it's really seeing little niches really is where it's at.
Yeah, funny you should talk about that with regards to it was like a feeling inside you. The book that I'm writing right now, I talk about personality tests and understanding who you're targeting in context of marketing. And I was doing a bit of research onto the Myers-Briggs personality test.
I love that. So, I'm really into that as well.
Yeah, mine is ENTJ.
Oh, my gosh. That's me. That's me,
really?
too.
Interesting.
We're dialed in.
Interesting. Yeah, good. And there was one sentence in the website that talked about how ENTJ people are not really a day-to-day administrator. They're not bureaucrats. They're not, working grunts. They're a visionary. They're leaders. And this is what I felt in late 2013, just shortly before, a year or 6 months, 8 months before I started to be an entrepreneur myself, where it was like, I'm not really behind the scenes guy, I'm more of a leader, I'm more at the forefront, I'm more of a visionary. Mm-hmm. And with regards to this niche you mentioned, you talk about auto claims. And
yes. What's
the niche? How exactly?
Okay, so I don't know how, if you've been in a car accident before and had to file a claim. I don't know if you've been in that, but the process for people here in the United States is very cumbersome. And if you get in an accident, traditionally speaking, you get in an accident, you report it to your insurance company, and then you have to have a person come out to your house, and an adjuster comes out, will inspect the vehicle, take photographs, write up a repair estimate. And then finally, you can take your car to a collision repair shop and have it repaired. Or other ways you can do it is you could have, the insurance carrier will advise you to take it to a repair shop and get an estimate. And so the process, what I observed when I was just sitting behind a desk was so antiquated, where it was really a lot of manual tasks involved. You had to have people driving a lot of places. Customers were going to be sitting around waiting 2 or 3 days. And if you're in an accident, frankly, it can be a very stressful time, because if you don't have your vehicle to drive, you have to drive to get to work, you have to get a rental car, hire a car, you have those things going on. It's stress on the person. So we had thought, when I started the company, was what can we do to crunch down that cycle time, give that customer a better experience, and use technology to streamline that. So we've developed mobile solutions, technology solutions that right now that allow vehicle owners to take some of their own photographs in certain cases, and with their mobile, and we can generate an estimate within a couple hours, and that owner can then get out to get their car repaired. It also helps the adjuster settle the claim faster. We also have networks of national networks of inspectors that can we can crowdsource them and have them go out to a person's house and do those photos and estimate faster than a traditional way an insurance company would, which would take traditionally, could take 3 to 4 days. We could do it in 2 days. So if you can cut off 48 hours off somebody's wait, 24 to 48 hours, that saves time. So the niche really is to get that claim done quicker, faster, back to the insurance company, so that person that owns the car can get their claim paid and back to their life. And that's really what it's about.
Is you mentioned taking pictures and speeding up the process. Mm-hmm. Is that part of an app that's as part of the insurance policy, or is this a complementary product that people can eventually find and apply?
It would have to be done through the insurance company on that claim. So what we do is we market to our clients are insurance companies. So we would go to an insurance company and show them how we can help streamline their process. We show them the mobile app tools we have, the applications we have, the workflow process. And so basically at a high level, what we do is we bring in a virtual claims workflow platform that an insurance company can utilize to manage the process. And with that, they can track in real time what's going on the file. They can communicate back and forth, and then ultimately use all these tools that we've built to streamline their whole office.
All right, so you also say it's cumbersome in the States. I've never had any problems on the road, collisions and all the rest. Is it still cumbersome in the States?
For some companies, it is. It depends on the level of the insurance company. Some insurance companies are forward-thinking, and they want to harness this technology because, pretty much almost everybody has cell phones these days. And, if you had a scratch on your door, right where your handle is to get in, you could take a few photographs of that vehicle and send it to your insurance company. They can give you an estimate right over the the computer, and that's what we can do. Versus having to wait for somebody to come out to your house. So traditionally, some carriers are forward thinking, and there are still quite a few that are very paper centric. Believe it or not, they live with files of manila folders with claim documents sitting behind an adjuster's desk, 200, 300 files. So it depends on the carrier, but the real niche that I found was, how do you digitize an industry that's so paper-centric? And by us digitizing this part of the process, you got the digital photos, you got the digital estimate, you got everything all done, without having all that paper. And that really, you'd be surprised. Some carriers are really, it streamlines their whole operation.
Have you ever crashed your car?
No, I have not. In all these years, no. Never have.
In July of 2015, I was in France or Belgium, and driving back from a music concert a weekend away. And the one time I have a crash, I'm not in the UK, but it wasn't quite a crash. It was we joined the motorway. We were doing 40, 50, 60 odd miles per hour, raining, so aquaplaning. I can't see how many millimeters of rain. We're overtaking a car, so this is left-hand drive, or normal for you. So overtaking a car as we join the motorway, and I have a passenger with me, and I say to him, "Watch this magic." So we have a rear-loaded car, so I've got two people and a lot of stuff. I'm overtaking this car, and then a caravan really, and two other cars behind it. And as I overtake it, you see the road's bending towards the right. And as I make the turn, I press the brake ever so slightly, and we start to aquaplane. Now, at that point then, the car goes to the left, so I go full lock right, and then the car then swerves to the right, and I go full lock left. And then we end up facing almost like perpendicular to the road. And I'm thinking, and it's happening straight away, not the emotional fight or flight kind of persona. Immediately I realised the rational side saying full lock. And then, after about the first full lock, I'm then thinking, oh great, is this it? This is going to be the crash? There's always one or stuff like that, and this is it. And I'm not even in the UK, so what are the odds on that? And no, didn't hit the barrier, didn't go across the road, didn't hit anyone else. Luckily there's no cars behind me either for, I don't know, 200 yards or something. So it was perfectly fine. I'm perpendicular, reversed a little bit, straightened up, continued on the road. No problems. Very nice.
Wow.
And that was the closest time I ever came to crashing.
Wow. Yeah, that was scary. I bet that was scary. Big time.
Not really scary. It was more like an experience. It was just like full lock left. Yeah, it was magical, all I can say.
Wow.
And
it's funny.
True story.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I said, I haven't lucky myself. Haven't been in an accident, but I've seen a lot. Yeah.
All right. So, like what?
Oh, but we said our company that would handle claims. You could see everything from rollovers to fires to floods. I mean, you got, especially when there's hurricanes. There was a time when there was a hurricane. I don't know. It was about 10 years ago. You would have situations where there maybe a dealership or a lot of vehicles would be completely flooded. I mean, the waters are completely underwater. I mean, those cars have to be totaled. I mean, at that point, you have water intruding into those vehicles. Those things, I mean, once you have water going into the engine and all that, it's got to be a total loss at that point. But, yeah, we've seen some crazy stuff all these years.
Yeah, there was a clip in are you familiar with The Office?
Yes, I am.
All right. There's one clip, I think it's season 5. I've only seen like drips and drabs of it, where The Office, it's Michael Scott, played by Steve Carell. He's driving as the sat-nav, and the sat-nav says turn right, and he literally just turns right, and there's a little lake here, and he just goes straight into it. And I was just thinking back. This reminded me of it. And you mentioned the water and all the rest. I was thinking, when a car gets total like that, is there any way at all to repair the car? To salvage it?
You can, you could, yes. And but here's the concern, though. Traditionally speaking, you're going to have. Any car could be repaired if you take everything apart and rebuild it. But traditionally speaking, most insurance companies, when the water kind of gets above, when you get into the engine, or if it gets above the dashboard or where your knees are, they traditionally total the vehicle, because then what'll happen is over time things can rust out. You could have little things that happen, and then it'll all be attributed to that flood, because you never know what's going to happen down the line. So for safety reasons, these are all totaled, and when there was a big hurricane years back, people were trying to sell these vehicles as like undamaged vehicles on the market, and they had I think the government had to get involved in that and stop that. They tag these things as flood damaged vehicles, and that goes along with the title of the vehicle. And so if anybody ever buys that vehicle, it has to be stamped that it had been a flood loss total. So it's really my suggestion. When things happen like that, they just get them off the road. They're just not really. You don't really want to do anything with them.
Yeah, I can imagine there's always some complications. More complicated something is, more exponential risk it is. So I'm just curious, then let's bring it back a little bit. So
sure.
You're working at electronics warehouse.
Yep.
You didn't like it, and then you worked at auto claims.
That's right.
So, can you elaborate on the story as to why you went from electronics warehouse to auto claims, and how you went from thinking about being an entrepreneur, wanting to be an entrepreneur? What was that niggling feeling? What was the sensation? What was the development?
Well, okay. So the reason I took that job doing inside sales of electronics is I didn't know what I wanted to do, and when I said earlier I was kind of rudderless. It's like. You get out of college, and that's the thing I think a lot of people do these days. They go out, they run to college, you can get a degree. There's really the push to get a degree. And I see so many people even today that come out of college with a degree, and they don't have the basic skills to work in a workplace. You just get in a piece of paper with a degree. But at the time, so I got the degree. I got my degree from college, and then I was like, what do I do? And I just was pretty much take any job that I could find at the time, and I ended up doing, the inside sales. But without having some formal, I want to be this career, you don't really know what you want to do. So I tried that inside sales, and then I talked to some people that had told me about insurance and said, hey, you know what, maybe you want to get into that. Because I mean, when I was in college, I was an intern for the district attorney in law. Maybe thought about becoming in law enforcement. I was interested in that potentially. And they said, well, if you get in insurance, you can do investigations. You can become a special investigator. And I said, oh, okay, well. And so then I finally took that job working in insurance. But I don't know what it was. It was just when I sat down in those cubicles, and you're 9 to 5, you're in the cubicle every day, and like you said, it's the personality test. Like you said, the ENTJ. When you sit there and you watch people running and leading a company or claims department, and I'm very competitive. I was a former basketball player, and I see people that, in my mind, aren't doing a good job. They don't lead very well. And if you're one of those people inside that is a natural leader, you have a hard time settling for mediocrity. I mean, really, in a way, that's how I felt. And I would sit there and say, you know what? The way you guys are running these things, the whole department is not right. This is not efficient. And I don't know, it's just some sort of bug inside of me or something that just says, you know what? I really focus on efficiency, process improvement, leadership. And then at that point, it was just like, I can't spend the rest of my life working in a company like this, or any insurance company, or any job where I'm not out there as a driving force that's leading the way. And maybe it's a personality. I don't know. But I would always be looking for ways to improve things. And I don't know, that's what it was for years. Like I said, I was 7 years in insurance. So I would be sitting there for these years, and I'm like, what can I do? I want to start another company. And I dabbled in different things. I mean, during this time, I was like, oh, do I want to do real estate? Do I want to, be a fitness trainer and go out and start my own fitness consulting business? I was dabbling in my mind. I'm trying these different things. And when I did that project with my brother about the music site, that was fun. That kind of, like I said, sort of whet the appetite of an entrepreneurial drive. And it's like, I want to do something. And but then like I said, that's why after 7 years in the business, not really wanting to be there in insurance, not really excited about insurance at all, I was like, oh, this is a boring industry. And then I go, wait a minute. You don't have to like the industry necessarily, but you have to like the process. And so that's where the passion kind of came. It's like, you know what? I mean, I'll tell you right now, Adrian, I don't wake up every day saying I love cars. I love cars and I love auto claims and handling that. But I love efficiency and I like the business process. My advice to really entrepreneurs is you're going to have to like the process of building your business. You're going to have to enjoy it. And that's really people say you got to enjoy the journey of things. That's where it kind of comes from.
When you say you worked at that place and you saw ways it could be improved, what kind of examples, what kind of ways?
Just with policies and procedures, everything was so paper-centric. I mean, you had to go multiple steps to handle things that could take 1 or 2 steps, just processing a claim file. And that kind of translates when I talk about the auto side. Going out to see a person's car, there was all these different pieces of paperwork that were pretty much duplicates. And you had so much repetitive work that could have been eliminated and digitized, frankly. And if you saw a claim paper file back then, you would be amazed. You'd have the same owner filling out 4 or 5 different pieces of paper, handling the same thing, which could be eliminate that time and speed the process. Just there were so many things that went on in the insurance, and they still do at some companies, that just are just repetitive, worthless pieces of documents that don't really serve a purpose. And in today's day and age, customers, consumers, they want to streamline. They want to have instant satisfaction. As we know, people want to be able to, hey, something happens, I want to have this done, I want to get my payment and be done now. So that's really a driving force. And in like the insurance industry, it's overall, it's kind of behind the times. And there's a lot of opportunity within it.
When you were at college, what did you study?
Sociology. Yeah, I was a sociology major. Yeah,
I like sociology and psychology and philosophy, that kind of stuff, because it's how we think, how humans, whether it's B2B, B2C, how we all think, how we all behave, how we perceive the world.
Right.
And my great quarrel with doing things like college is, a lot of people just push you straight into it. I think that if people spent a year away and did their own thing with no distractions, no real liabilities or dedication, just pure free time, they can settle and find their own thing. And or if they do a personality test, oddly enough again, so as to discover multiple kinds, like Myers-Briggs, Hexaco, and a few other stuff like that.
Right.
To discover who they are, what they believe in, what's their strength, what their weaknesses are from a scientific point of view, and hone that and work on that, as opposed to just going from a hat trick of education, that's a distraction from discovering who you are and what you like and what you like doing with your time.
Exactly. I agree.
You said you have to like the process, and I agree with that as well, because I've heard that you could, but you don't necessarily have to love the product, but you have to love the benefit of the product. You have to love what you do and the process. Yeah, I also heard that with goals.
Yeah.
Don't just be like, I want to do. You need to set a goals that of a process goals. Like, I'm going to spend X amount of hours every day writing X amount of pages, or X amount of time every day doing X. Not just like, I want to do this and achieve that. Because once you've achieved that, you feel great for a short while. Then you want to do something else again because you feel dissatisfied with it.
Yep.
Can you elaborate on what you feel, what you think about process, and how you came to like it?
Well, yeah, and I'll tell you a little story that I kind of attributed to my success today. Is when I was starting the company, just before I was starting my company, I was leaving the insurance industry. I got a bug for doing triathlons. And I was doing some endurance races, but then I got really into the triathlon bug. And then I liked pushing myself to my limits. So I never did the full Ironman triathlon distance, but I would do one that was like, 1.2 miles open ocean swim, followed by a 56-mile bike ride, and then a half marathon, all one after the other, which would take me 6.5, 7 hours to finish. So to train for these events, it took a lot of time. And needless to say, I'm not the greatest runner in the world. I've done marathons before and long distance things, but I did this sort of as a mental toughness preparation for myself. There was about a 4 or 5 year period I was doing these events. And this took me, and I wasn't the greatest swimmer either. So I would be swimming, 2,000, 3,000 meters a week. And then he would swim and run bike, maybe 4 or 5 hours a week, and then run a couple, 2 to 3 hours a week. And it was tiring. You had to recover. And it was the process, because to go train for these events, I would put in weeks and weeks and weeks of training and recovery, and you go out on that race day, and you dive into that cold water, and you do that event, and you finally have that exhilaration of finishing that race 6.5 hours later, exhausted. And then, you finish the race, they give you the medal, you finish the race. That was great. I pushed my body to the limit. It was fun. But you know what? When you look back at it, I got the achievement. I did like 4 or 5 of those races. But when you look back at it, it was that preparation of all that hard work, day after day, little victories that add up over time that helped me achieve that big goal. So when you think about it and translate it to business, it was fun because I was doing all these races before I started my company. I sometimes in my mind say, look, hey, I was able to gut that out and go through that pain. And anything in business is not going to even be as hard, because you know what? It's the same process. You put in the little effort every day, step by step, and you don't see the results every day. You just see little results, or maybe, you're going to take a couple steps forward, 1 step back. But when it adds up over time, then you sort of feel like, oh my gosh, I finally accomplished the goal. And then you set a new one, and it's always, okay, I want to do something bigger. I want to do something better. And that's kind of really how I look at goal setting and how you go through the process, because obviously the process is where you learn a lot more about yourself than just say, hey, I got the medal, I finished, or whatever it is, because, my belief is this, and I tell people this: the minute you think you've made it is really kind of the moment you failed. Because if you say, hey, I made it, I'm a success now, I'm just going to relax, take a step back and go, okay, I'm done. Well, guess what? That's when the competition comes by and beats you. So you always have to have something to shoot for. You never just let up. And that's really kind of how my mindset is.
Yeah, roughly the same. Same. I did a video about this, and as you start to rest on your laurels, people then overtake you. If that's what you really want or don't want, not everyone needs to conquer the world, but that is what will happen. As a matter of fact.
Yeah.
Either people that you inspire or people that are annoyed by your success, that will push them and act as a fuel to overtake you or to put you in the dust or stuff like that.
Yep.
Little by little results. Yeah. Unfortunately, success takes time. There's an old saying that an overnight success is like 20 years in the making.
I was just going to say that. You were thinking the same wavelength as me. Yeah. I have people now that come and talk about my business, and it's like they just discovered us. Like, hey, you know what? Oh, wow, your company, like even insurance companies will come to us and say, wow, I didn't know you guys were this successful and doing all this great technology. And it's like, we've been marketing to some of these companies for 10 years, and they finally discover us. It's because, you know what? You can never just assume that everybody knows about you. And that's part of I can talk for hours about the marketing of business. I think the biggest thing that people overlook in business is your visibility and just being known by people. It takes a lot to be seen even in your own industry. You can't assume people know about you.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking of your business, in regards to your customers, because you mentioned it earlier, customers like to streamline process.
Right.
What can you elaborate on that, please?
Well, I think today with the digitally empowered consumer, you got people, like I said before, with cell phones permeate everybody has a cell phone. I think more people today want to be involved in process, whether it's the insurance claims process or anything. Even if I order something, online, I'm getting, how you get automatic updates and, oh, your delivery will be here tomorrow at this time or whatever. I think overall people in today's society want to be informed. They want to know what's going on. In years past, they would allow days to pass and not be so involved in something. So really, the streamlining processes is really about, I think, engaging the customer, keeping them involved, keeping all parties involved, and then like eliminating needless touch points in every process you can. So, I mean, that's how I think about business is, you know what can you do to eliminate needless touch points and get right to the business's hand, the points that need to be done?
Yeah, I find that customers ultimately want reassurance and enlightenment.
Right, exactly.
They want reassurance that you got the money.
Yep.
You are going to send the product, when it's going to arrive, what the status is, or the updates. They want enlightenment with regards to what you do and how it affects and solves their problem, or provide what kind of solution you do. And I find that customers also no hidden fees as well. This is one thing I have about a few companies out there where it's like, here's the price, and then no extra $5 or something, and it's like, well, yeah. But so reassurance, because people always come up to me and they say to me things like, oh, the shipping address is inaccurate, or the billing address is inaccurate, and it's like, well, just send this email off here, do this, do that, and sorted. Never hear from them again. Order is fulfilled, happy. Because the one way I can gauge whether or not a customer is unhappy or it didn't satisfy their needs or things like that is if they complain. If they complain to you, then you got a problem.
Right.
If there's nothing, never hear from them again, then it was A-OK, which is fine. But if it went over the moon and they're happy with you, they'll send you an email. They'll thank you. They will thank you for it, and or they will post it on social media and say, this is amazing stuff. This people over there, exceed their expectation. Like, I always remember the story of Zappos. They have, I don't know if they still do, but they used to have free overnight expedited shipping. And they wouldn't tell people about this. They'd say free shipping in general, but they wouldn't say it was overnight free, special next day delivery kind of shipping. So they would order it by, like 4 p.m. or something like that. And
I think one thing they do too. One thing they did is they did the handwritten notes too. They would do a little handwritten, like a crayon or something. They do something a little interesting, a little piece of art or something, some personalized aspect that really sets them apart. That's one thing they did as well.
Yeah, and that kind of stuff, it adds the human touch to it, adds that nature to it, and not everyone cares, not everyone appreciates it, but the people that do appreciate it, and the people that do like it, it goes a long way for them, which I
agree.
Think is very powerful. So tell me then, what are you up to now?
Well, I mean, basically with my business, I am still doing the business every day. That's my number one thing every day is the business, but I do have a passion to help other entrepreneurs, and I've written a small book myself that I actually have. It's on Amazon called The Entrepreneur's Field Manual. I published that up in January. It's sort of a compilation of some of the tips, the tricks, the things that I kind of learned along the way building my business, things that were important to me. And so I wrote that book. It's a short little, it's like 90 pages long, just a quick, right to the point book on things I learned. And I really am really passionate about helping other entrepreneurs that are in that startup phase or trying to, maybe they're a mid-sized company, they're trying to get to the next level. Because I enjoy giving the insight that I learned along the way, because you know what? The entrepreneurial path, you can read, you can learn, but it's also great to hear from other people who've gone through their struggles. And that's what if you ask me what I do, I'm a big believer that you can learn from pretty much other people who've gone through those similar things, and you take little bits and little pieces and create your own formula. So I want to be able to give my ingredients out there to help somebody else in their own unique formula.
Oh yeah, definitely. The way I see it is like a patchwork of knowledge.
Yep.
You learn a little bit from this person, a little bit from that person, this book, that mentor, this event. Don't bother worrying about your own mistakes. Well, no, I'll rephrase that. You learn from your own mistakes, true, right. Yes, but also you can learn from other people's mistakes as well.
That's right.
Without going too much on a tangent, but it's so much more efficient, much more leverage, and quicker, and safer, and cheaper to learn from other people's mistakes as opposed to going out there yourself and making the mistake on your own. And so they take all these lessons, and you make a patchwork, like a jigsaw puzzle of knowledge, and this is what you know, everything that's in your brain, and it's like, this is all my rules, my strategy, my principles, and this is how I operate. And you wrote a book, I think, because you went to college also. I think everyone today has got a college degree. Bachelor's, master's, PhD, blah, blah, whatever. Okay, sure, fine, whatever. But how many people do you know that's written a book? How many authors do you know on a first-name basis?
I've heard not that many. Really.
Exactly. And how many people do you know that's gone to college or university?
A lot, yeah. I mean,
Exactly.
that's become the average. That's becoming so watered down that everybody has a degree.
Exactly. But you know all this smart stuff, but why don't you write a book and put it on the marketplace?
Exactly.
You know? A dissertation. Okay, fine, yeah, sure. You can get grades for that, but if you write a book and put it in the world, you know, it's the marketplace of ideas. Let it stand on its own 2 feet in the real world. That's the way I see it. And also a competitive advantage. Earlier, with regards to resting on your laurels, as soon as you write a book, I'm on my second one. As soon as you write a book, it's like there's no competition then. There's no competition. Yeah. Everyone's got a degree. Oh, I've written a book. Oh.
Yep.
So this 90-page one. Tell me more about that. This 90-page book.
Yeah.
Field manual.
So what I did in there is I just broke down about basically into 4 stages of the business. You know, how to coming up with the idea, making the idea happen, marketing your idea, and then selling the idea. So it's just basically, it was originally the first thing I did to kind of write the book, because I'd never written really a book before when it comes to like entrepreneur. I wrote a book that I published for my industry in the insurance industry on how to, look at cars, and that's more of a trade manual, how to handle that. But when it comes to the entrepreneur side, I just sat down and I said, I'm going to write like 100 tips of things that I learned along the way. And I remember doing pieces of it. I'd be flying on an airplane. I would be traveling. I would be at home on a weekend. And I'm a kind of a big believer that, I always bring a piece of, like a notepad with me and a pen, because there's always some good ideas that I could have and write down. Maybe it's just things I want to get accomplished or make a list. But I always made it a point to write down some tips. Whether I wrote them down in maybe 2 or 3 paragraphs on one tip, things I learned. And I kind of had like 100 tips overall. And I condensed it down into some of the key ones that I felt were important. And that's kind of how I did it. I really just had no experience in writing, like I said, an entrepreneur book. But I figured, you know what? These are the key tips that I felt were the most important, that meant a lot to me, And that's where I went, hey, what were the things that kind of I felt were important that I would want to instill in somebody else? And that's kind of how I did it. But really, it was just about writing down all the ideas, and at the end, I had a whole compilation of, like I said, over 100 different tips.
So which tips do you think are most important?
Well, I think if I just had to tell you tips of becoming an entrepreneur is, number one, you're not going to realize how tough it is until you actually get in it. Because I think a lot of people today, they see the glory stories. They see, the Ubers and the Facebooks and the unicorn type companies, and everybody thinks, these kids get out of college, they think, oh my gosh, I'm going to start a company, it's going to get in venture capital, it's going to make millions, I'm going to cash out, and I'm going to be the next, superstar entrepreneur. And I think my tip was, people underestimate how much work it's going to take, how much toil you're going to have to do in basically obscurity. Because that's one of your biggest challenges. Obscurity is one of the biggest challenges for a business. And you're going to have to spend so much time building your business with little to no rewards right at the beginning. People always think, oh man, boom, make money, get investment, boom, I'm out. But the true businesses, the true successes I see out there, in my opinion, I respect the people who put in the hard work year after year, build their business. Because I bootstrapped the company I built from the ground up, and didn't take any outside investment. I have people now wanting to give me investment all day long. I meet with investors all day long. But we're profitable. We reinvest. We grow the company. And my big belief is this. You need to run your company with sound fundamentals. And if you do that, that's how you do it. But yeah, number one tip is you're going to kind of most people underestimate how much hard work is involved. And that's number one,
I agree. When I started my first business, it took a few months for it to be built. And then as soon as it was launched, 13th of January 2015, I was at a music concert and I got the email saying, it's up and ready. And at that point I thought, wow, okay, this is getting, finally got to this stage. Then I realized straight away I plateaued, didn't know what the heck to do next. Oh, what am I doing? And And I also remember a few weeks or a few months later, whatever, I can't remember, something like that. I was recommended by the webmaster to do a sale, and I remember crying because I did not want to do a sale. It was expanding in the comfort zone. Now it's like, yeah, sure, whatever, go. But back then it was completely new to me, and it was just like the comfort zone was expanding rapidly.
Yep.
And yeah, it is a long, hard process. It's not easy. It's not easy at all. But as we begin to wrap up this podcast, though, Ernie, what is next for you?
Well, my goal is to keep growing the company that I have and make it one of the top claims technology and service providers in the industry, potentially taking the company international. That is one of my dreams, whether it's the UK, Australia, Canada. What we offer when it comes to the technology and services and auto claims, it's transferable to all these different countries. So that's my big goal, is to continue to grow my company potentially internationally, and then on the side go out and continue to do speaking engagements and inspire entrepreneurs and really, I think, bring that energy, enthusiasm that I have for and passion, to other entrepreneurs. I mean, that's another tip right there I'll give you right now, is that I think energy and enthusiasm is like super vital if you want to be successful as an entrepreneur, because you have to inspire the people at your company too, because when you start out, it's just maybe you by yourself and a couple other people. But as we've grown, our company is over 50 some odd people now. When you start to realize that and you start to grow the company where it's beyond where you can talk to everybody every day on a personal basis, because now you're getting too big to that point, you still have to find a way to get people fired up, excited. So if you bring in energy and enthusiasm to the process is really vital. So that's one thing I really believe in. You got to bring that energy.
How do you inspire your people?
I inspire them by helping them see the common goal that we're up against. I mean, maybe it comes from my athletic background in sports, but I'm very competitive, and I like to rally the team around. And we pay our team well. We reward them with bonuses. We do things to really get them excited about the company. But it's beyond that. We want them to see the mission, the goal of becoming the best in our respective industry that we are. And I love, like, when I get around the team members, I'm passionate about our product, our services, and they see that. And I believe when people see that they feed off of that, and they say, wow, if the CEO and the leader is really passionate as he is about what we're doing in the industry, then I believe it rubs off. And that's kind of what I believe.
Yeah, that reminds me of Steve Jobs in the early 80s, where he was positioning Apple as like a David versus Goliath with regards to IBM, or as he called it, Big Blue.
Yep.
And I like that. I think when a business carves that story of we're the underdog, challenging the status quo,
yes, exactly,
making a change in the world that people can resonate with, then I think that you can build a momentum, build a community much faster there, because it's a cause that people can champion. And I'm not sure what it is exactly, but people instinctively root for the underdog, whether it's in movies and stories and etc. or books and they're like the underdog. It's like, go get him, lad. That kind of thing.
Well, you're 100% right, because you know what? We're right on the same wavelength on this, because you have to operate every day like you are the underdog, even if you're becoming, because some companies can risk the point of becoming bigger in your company where you become the bigger player, and there's going to be underdogs coming after you. But you always have to have that mindset that you're the underdog and that you have to keep fighting. If you keep that fire going, that's what's going to help you drive and propel people to success.
Yeah, speaking of propelling people to success, one idea I have got for motivating the teams, or certainly building a community within the staff, is every morning for 10 to 30 minutes, test, you have the main people or your closest team around you, 5, 10, whatever people, in front of a whiteboard, and you teach them one key lesson every morning, or one key lesson afternoon, something like that on the whiteboard for that time, to teach them something, build some education, build some respect, build a bit of community, camaraderie together, but also could go one step further and do that on Facebook Live or on Instagram in front of your team still.
Yeah.
Because you're creating content, you're showing a bit behind the scenes and a bit behind you operate or philosophy or some practices. That's one idea that I would definitely do. Be a little careful what you say on Facebook Live, of course. Don't want to reveal everything. But still, it's like that's a pretty good idea. Just get some engagement online and to educate and build the team up.
Yes, very much so. And we use some internal videos we do within the company when it comes to training, when we have other members of our team come, because we have some part of our team is distributed throughout the country. So when they come out here, they'll do some trainings, we'll record that, and then we'll play that for the other members of the team to keep people involved. But yeah, it's great stuff. Great idea. Yeah,
thanks a lot. So, Ernie, what is the best way for the audience to get in touch with you?
Well, the best way would be to go to my Twitter, which is at Ernie Bray. That's at ERNIEBRAY. That's the number one really way to get a hold of me. Just send me a direct message there. And my company is acdcorp.com. That's acdcorp.com. That's our technology and claims services company, and that's really the easiest way to get a hold of me. And you can also go to Amazon and type in the Entrepreneur's Field Manual, and that's where my little guide to what helped me out is located.
Yeah, cool, definitely. I'll add those in the show links below.
Perfect.
But Ernie, it was great having you on the show.
All right, well, hey, it's a pleasure to be on, and great talking about this stuff.
Yeah, thanks a lot. So, ladies and gentlemen at home, if you haven't already, click on the subscribe button below and press the bell notification right next to it for the latest uploads. And if you're watching this on Steemit, however, give it a re-steam, upvote, and a follow, because either way, there is plenty more content to come, podcasts and videos to come, because this channel is all about helping you become a remarkable entrepreneur. So go out there today and do something remarkable. How cool is that?